What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the North Slope Kitchen Build Out. It's been some time since the last episode, and I apologize for that, but we actually ended up having a project fall on our laps, which was our own home. And I've actually been spending pretty much every waking hour on that project. My wife and I bought a house at the end of last year that's closer to town and getting us ready for a couple things that are happening with our family. And unfortunately, what we thought was a move-in ready house that needed some cosmetic upgrades to pretty much a home that needed to be completely gutted. So we're talking a whole rewire, all new plumbing, that whole roof has been redecked, all new insulation, all new windows, the whole nine. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of time and energy. And we're finally at a point of drywall going up. We have about 195 sheets going into the house, and that amount of work would just take me too long to do it by myself. So I've been able to hand that off to professionals and focus back on this project. And since I was mid-project when I had to shift gears into our new home, some of the content that you're going to see today is actually over a period of time that actually occurred, a couple months ago. So we'll be putting that all together, but what we're focusing on is installing the hood vent, which I can see now it looks fantastic. I can't wait to share with you the process of what I had to do to get it installed and what it looks like, as well as a few odds and ends such as drawer hardware and shelving that'll be going up also. So let's get to it. Our second episode of North Slope Kitchen Build Out. All right, I am so excited that today is the day that we're installing this vent hood. Literally since the day that I demoed this kitchen, this wire has been exposed, and it's the first thing that I see when I walk in, no matter how much I get done. When the countertops were installed, when the appliances were in, it was literally still the first thing that I saw. So I'm so glad that I'm no longer going to see this wire after today. This has taken some time, predominantly just because the vent hood required an extension in order for the hood to go all the way up to the ceiling with this cover. So I finally have it and we're ready to go. So what I'm going to be doing first is using my laser level to outline where the hood cover is going to go all the way up through the ceiling. I then can cut the crown mold, so that way we have a square place for it to sit. And then I'm going to be moving this electrical wire up and over. I already have the power disconnected, so we're good there. And then from there, we just start mounting everything into the wall, put the vent all the way up through the roof, and we're done. So let's get to it. Now onto the fun part, which is moving this wire. I'm going to be cutting some holes into the drywall so that way I can have access to be able to move it through, and undoubtedly going to have to push it through a stud. So I have my Sawzall to cut, as well as a new blade from Milwaukee, which is designed to cut drywall, but according to the website, it can cut drywall, but it won't cut your stud or your wire. So I'm really excited to give this a shot and see how it goes. So what I'm going to do first is line out everything for my cuts and then go very slowly and do as few cuts as possible. So that way it really limits the amount of work that I need to do in terms of patching. So let's get to it. All right, I've got the wire out, enough slack to be able to install everything. So I'm really happy with that. Obviously made a mess and some holes in the wall, so I have to fix that before we get the hood vent up. My review on the Milwaukee Sawzall tip, I think that it worked really well. However, it hopped quite a bit when I got over a stud. So I'm not sure if I'd be able to get enough of an angle to go into the wall and still cut without it hopping around a bunch. Because it's so short, I feel like you really have to go straight on. So I need to experiment with it, but my first experience, I wouldn't say that I would necessarily recommend it, but at least now you know that that is an option, and maybe you'll have a better experience with it than I did on my first go. So let's go ahead and go to the shop, see if I have any drywall to get this patched. If not, I got to run to Lowe's real quick, get some drywall, patch this up, get it painted, and then we'll put up the vent hood. I didn't have any drywall in the shop, unfortunately, so I had to make the drive down to the hardware store to grab some drywall so I could create a patch. I've already measured the shape and cutout and created it here, so let's get it on the wall. We now officially have the wire moved in place. We have the patch for the wall also set. And then we've just applied the first layer of spackling. Once that dries, we'll give it a sand and then we'll skim the whole thing and then it'll be ready for paint. Okay, we're back. Got a quick workout in as well as some time with my family. And I got some things done off camera. So the hole for the hood vent has been drilled into the ceiling, as well as the patches all done and painted. I think it just blends in perfectly. I can't even tell where it was. While I'm waiting for the paint to dry so then I can finally mount up the hood vent, I'm going to get the hardware done for all the drawers. And then that should be enough time for everything to dry properly so that way I can get this mounted. So let's do it. So a number of different ways to install cabinet hardware, but for this particular install, I'm going to be using the True Position Tools cabinet hardware jig. The reason why I'm going to be using this is because it gives me a lot of repeatability and it's highly accurate. So all you need to do to set this tool up is first set up your width for your drill pull and then set the height that you want it to be on the cabinet. Use this notch to find the center line of your drawer and then use your drill and drill away. It's vent hood time. So I've got our vent pipe cover already set to go. I also have the hole cut in the ceiling where the vent pipe will go through and will exit through the roof. I have the mounting bracket already in place. I have the template good to go, which will give me indicators of where I need to put my holes to be able to mount this to the wall. I've got my wire set to go. Power is off. So let's get to it. I've got the hood vent itself attached to the wall. I've got the electrical connected. Speaking of which, should we test it? You have light? All right, let's see if the vent works. All right. It is very quiet. I would be surprised if the mic is even picking up on this, but everything is working. Let's go. And now that we have my fix for the vent cover already done, it's now time to install the vent pipe, put in the vent cover, and then that'll be a wrap. But before I do, one thing I want to call out in terms of this episode's tip is that with stainless steel, WD-40 is, in my opinion, one of the best methods of cleaning and getting rid of smudges and fingerprints and an uneven finish. And what it does is it actually creates just a very, very fine film that goes over the stainless steel, and it just evens everything out perfectly. And if you trick is you don't put too much, otherwise it'll have an oily residue. But otherwise, it just shines everything up perfectly. All right, let's finish this up. So I'm in my shop right now and I need a vent clamp. I thought I had one in the garage, but it turns out I only have a 4-inch one. I need a 6-inch one for this job. So we're gonna have to finish it up tomorrow so that way I can ensure that the vent pipe doesn't go anywhere. So we'll see you tomorrow. Hello, we're back. It's a new day. I'm still pretty bummed that I wasn't able to finish this vent hood install last night. It was a big goal of mine, but without this clamp, it really wouldn't have been something I would have been comfortable with. So have it now. Let's go ahead and get this thing installed. Now that we've pushed out the cabinets so they sit more flush with the refrigerator, installed the drawer hardware, toe kicks, as well as trim pieces, put up the vent hood, this side of the kitchen is pretty much done, and I think looking so much better than it did when we started. I still have a couple things I need to do, such as installing wall plates around the electrical outlets and open shelving. I'm actually going to cut it here. And the reason being is that I've never actually filmed myself working before. I'm not sure how this is all going to stitch together. And I don't want to get all the way through to the end and find out, oh, I've done all of this wrong. And if only I did this. So I've decided that this should probably be long enough to give you the amount of information, as well as I think a really natural stopping point of this side's done. I still have one other side to do, which is where the smaller appliances will be housed. It was previously a doorway into the laundry room, and now I think is a really great place to store things that are, kind of need to be out of sight, as well as housing things like appliances and so forth, which I don't really like having cluttering the main focus area of when you're walking into the space. So looking forward to building that out and sharing that with you. In the meantime, I would say do hard things, be kind, and I'll see you next time.